Henry Ford once said that if everyone is moving forward together, then success will come about by itself. And hopefully by this point in the year, a lot of us have been moving forward in our GTISM projects so that we can be successful when it comes to creating the end product. Today, I, Rehan Rupawala, will be informing you about the success and progress I've made in my own research and product, which is a database to connect drug-addicted individuals to educational and rehabilitative resources, working with my mentor, DEA Special Agent James Kane. Before we get into my progress, we have to re-understand the problem that I'm trying to tackle, which is a current lack of rehab awareness in the status quo. In fact, a Narconon study taken in Houston surveyed nationwide and found that 96% of individuals that struggle with drug addiction don't go out and get care because they either can't find it or can't find resources that point them towards care that they can use. That's why my solution is a database that can connect local individuals within Katy to these very resources. Specifically, it's a database that outlines rehab centers locally and provides information such as their costs, their availability, their convenience, where they're located, and other informational bits such as specialization that can help these drug-addicted individuals get to the resources that'll help them as fast as possible. So let's talk about the progress that I've made so far this semester in creating my product, which really comes in 3 steps. The first is that I've collected pretty much all of the data that I want to use in my database. Essentially, I've gone out and collected data on over 15 rehab centers within Katy, getting information such as their cost that I'm going to use in my database in the long run. The second is that I've set the layout for each page within my database. I've gone onto the website creator, Wix, and set out the layout of what I want each content page to look like. That's important because now that I have the layout set out, I can just paste and copy information and I don't have to redesign each page drastically. And finally, is that I've actually embedded a majority of the content already into my database. And although refining still needs to be done, the information is in the website and looks pretty good. For an example, this is one of my pages looks like, and there's over 15 to 20 such pages that include the information of a center as well as a little picture or a logo that helps these people know what they're looking for. And there's links and more information to their phone numbers provided on the bottom as well. But of course, there's still a lot more to do, which once again comes in 3 steps. The first is data finalization, which is basically as I'm refining the database, I'm going to be filling in the little gaps because there's still some information that I haven't got, some little missing bits. That's because some centers don't display their costs or availability. And I've actually had to go out and email and even call some of these centers just to get their information, and some of them have been quite unresponsive. So some data still needs to be finalized as my product goes on. The second is the design. And what I mean by this is basically the visual attraction of the product. Right now, I've been embedding content and finding content, but I haven't really focused on the images and the visual attraction of my website, except for maybe the cover page. And that's important because if the database isn't visually attractive, then people aren't going to want to use it in the first place. So that's definitely something I need to finish before I present my product in May. I need to work on embedding colorful images and visual attractive elements to make my database look better. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, is the outreach element. And this will be something that doesn't just happen before the showcase presentation, but after as well. What this means is that I need to reach my database out to individuals, and I'll do this with help from my mentor, James Kane, since he's in the DEA and he has a lot of contacts, as well as reaching out to educational facilities. Because if no one's using my database and no one knows that it exists, then it'll be useless in the long run. This outreach could perhaps be the most important thing that I need to work on, but the good part about it is it's something I can work on even once the product is finished. Now let's talk about the showcase presentation, which comes up in May. And here is a basic outline of what I want my showcase presentation to look like in chronological order. First, I'm going to introduce myself, establish my credibility with my mentor, and then explain how I worked with my mentor on this product, and kind of go into detail as to how he plays a role in the end of this course. Then I'm going to talk about the problem, which will effectively contextualize my product, because if I don't explain the problem, then no one's going to know why I created this database in the first place. Then I'm going to talk about my solution. I'm just going to overall give a general principle of what it is, and then go into further details as in what each page contains. For example, I could explain my content about teen drug rehab, adult rehab, specialization, and more. Then I'm going to explain why my database is effective, in the sense that why it can foster awareness about this issue. And finally, I'll talk about that outreach plan, the plan to implement it widespread. And I also want to be able to take questions in the long run. So in short, we just went over the progress that I've made, and I hope that many of you continue making progress as well.